This is a tutorial to access and use the EBSCO databases on the Helena High Library page. The first thing that we're going to do is go to the Helena High webpage, and from here we'll scroll down, click on the library link. Once you get here, you'll notice there are several options on the right hand side. We're going to choose Student Resources. At this point, it's important to note that if you are off campus, you need a password to log in to any of the databases. So you can get those from the librarians in the library, but if you're on campus, you'll be able to go right in and get started. So today we're going to talk about EBSCO. And EBSCO has several different products that we have on our webpage. The first one is the main EBSCO host. That one we'll talk about first. And then there is also Explora, which is a subcategory of EBSCO, and Points of View, which is also a subcategory of EBSCO. So we'll start with EBSCO host. Once you get in here, we're going to click first on EBSCO host research databases. So this is kind of the general, covers everything. When you get to this point, you can make a choice. You can either go through and choose specific databases, or you can just click here where it says select all. And I prefer to do that because you can always do some filtering later on in your search. This opens up all of the options here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and click on continue. From here I can start to do my searching. And a couple of things to point out here. There are a lot of options as far as limiting your search and narrowing it down. A couple of features that I would suggest that you use on a regular basis would be this full text option, which will eliminate some frustration because you won't be getting just abstracts. When you click on that, you'll get only hits that have full text capability. The other couple of things to point out is you can change the publication date. There's obviously certain topics where the publication is important, and you'll need to keep that in mind. You can also click on the peer reviewed, which gives your source a little bit more validity because it's been peer reviewed. And there are a few other options. For now, I'm just going to choose full text because I want to show you how to modify the publication date later. So I'm going to click on, or type in concussions in sports. It's a pretty hot topic. So you'll see now that I get 29,000 hits, which is obviously way too many and very overwhelming. So we can do a couple of things here. You'll notice on this left-hand side that we have some of those limiters again. So I'm going to go ahead and choose peer-reviewed this time. That takes my search all the way down to 1,000. So you can tell that it's eliminated a lot of options there. And also I'm going to change this so that we're only looking at most recent publications. Okay, so now we're getting to a little bit more reasonable amount. A couple of other things here to point out once I start looking at my list. If you hover over this magnifying glass, what it will do is it will pop up some general information and then it will give you the abstract. It's a really simple way to just look at the information quickly, decide if it's something that you're interested in or it will help your research, or if not. If not, you can go ahead and move on and go to the next one. The other thing you'll notice is that it tells you what kind of publication it is. These ones all happen to be academic journals, which is probably going to be good, valid sources in most cases. And then it also tells you what kind of text you're going to get when you click in. So sometimes it's a PDF and sometimes it's an HTML. So I'm going to go ahead and click into this one. Now, once I'm in here, I get this information on this page, and sometimes, especially if it's a PDF, I'll get to this point and I'll say, there's no text here other than the abstract. Where is it that I'm going to be able to read this article? And you'll think that it didn't give you the full text, but it's right over here. It's just a separate link. So you can click on that. And the PDF version is almost always just like a picture of the magazine or the journal or whatever it is. Okay, So here it is. We have some good information here. And I can scroll down. For some reason it's not letting me scroll down. So let's go back over to my list. A couple of things I want to mention too about citation on EBSCO. It's in a slightly different place, so you'll see it right over here. When you click on Cite, it will provide you with the different types of citations. So at Helena High we use MLA citation in most cases, so then you can copy and paste this citation and put that into your works cited page. Make sure you're paying attention to all of the italicized and all of that stuff. Sometimes when you copy and paste it, it removes some of that formatting for you. So pay attention to that. Okay, so a couple of other things to pay attention to. I can refine my search from here, or I can go back to my results list, and I can do a couple of other things here to change my search. I can use this advanced search option, and when I'm in here it gives me a couple of options for limiting what I'm searching for. So maybe I want to say I want to look at concussions in sports that are directly related to football. So notice I have this "and" option here. But I don't want to look at any articles that have to do with soccer. Okay, so I want to focus specifically on the effects of concussions in sports with football. So once I search for that, that narrows down some of my information, but notice how it took off some of these other limiters. So I'm going to go back in and put those in so that they're the same settings I had originally. I'm going to go all the way up to 2010. So instead of the 700 plus hits that I got, now I have 142. Okay, so it limits things a little bit. So make sure you kind of play around with those things. It's always best to start with something broad, and then you can always narrow it down and get exactly what you're looking for. But experiment with your search terms. That's a really important thing. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back over to the Helena High Library page, and we're going to just really briefly look at these other two. I want to show you Explora. Explora is really nice. You may even want to go directly to Explora instead of EBSCO. Like I said, this is a subcategory of EBSCO, and so if what Explora does is it eliminates all hits that are not full text. So it kind of jumps you ahead of the game a little bit. So you'll notice right over here that they already have this full text clicked on, and I only have 3,000 hits. So that's one of the features that's really nice about Explora. If I go up to 2010, it's thinking, there it goes. Then that does narrow things down a little bit, but not totally, okay? But it has a lot of the same features that you'll see in EBSCO. So kind of the same basic setup. The other one that's really important to point out is Points of View. Points of View is a great website, or a great database, excuse me, that focuses mostly on controversial topics. It's one that you'll use quite a bit, and anytime you have something that might be controversial, this is a great place to go. So you'll notice that they have some things right up on this top bar that are in the news. Obviously, gun control is a hot topic right now, and so you can go directly into that. You can find out more about what's happening. In Points of View, they provide you an overview, and then they give you a point and a counterpoint article. So sort of it gives you the opposing points of view here. The other thing that it provides is this guide to critical analysis. This is fantastic for those of us that are still kind of learning how to analyze a topic. And so you'll take a look here and it gives you some suggestions on what you should do, what are facts and opinions, some examples, specifically from these articles, which is what I like about it, because it's not just a general tutorial. This is very specific. It gives you some ideas on how you can look deeper, what you can debate about this particular topic. So there's a lot of really great features there. The other thing that it does here is it will provide some related information on this left-hand sidebar. This is really nice because it'll take you out into other options. So if you want to take a look at, you've got your overview, you have your point and your counterpoint, and now you want to see what people are saying in the newspapers about this particular topic. You can click on that. You see that you have 7,000 hits for just newspapers that are covering gun control. And so you can go and take a closer look at that. There's some images and some videos here too. You can limit just like you did in the EBSCO, the full version of EBSCO, same sort of features there. So Points of View is a fantastic web database and one that I think you'll use quite a bit. And that's our tutorial on EBSCO databases.